We're back with more Great Ace Attorney Chronicles Resolve 2. Or, yeah, I think that I always forget what the name of the game is. Apologies for the odd pattern on my face. The light is peeking through my blinds, and currently it's not bothering me as of right now, so we'll just let it be. We last left off. We were in court with, oh, Luigi is dead. Should I still quote unquote? I don't know if I believe that he's still alive, but like I'll quote unquote just like for posterity's sake, I guess. And we found out Vigil, the man that we were looking for, was posing as a peddler, and he had some big old fatty lips, and now he was unmasked or unlipped, and then he like apparently forgot his memories of working at the prison, and I think his memory's been jogged now or something. And I think we're taking a recess in court. I don't know. I wonder how this is going to proceed. But as a side note, something that I'm going to do for myself in this session, I'm going to see if I can swear as little as possible. It's not gonna. It's gonna take a lot of like effort from me to like think about what I say and make sure I don't swear. It's just a challenge for myself. I'm not doing it for any particular reason. I don't get paid to make these videos. No one's breathing down my neck for the swearing. I just like, what if? What if I just tone down my swearing? It won't mean much if it's just from playing a video game, but who knows? Maybe something will come out. Maybe I'll be a better person with the lack of swearing. We are not in court anymore. We've just gone home for the day. So I think I brought it up last time we played this, that I think all the court cases so far in this game series, and like the Great Ace Attorney verse, is that cases that never extended past 2 days. I think I didn't fact check that, and I didn't fact check that last time either. This might be the first time in a case where it looks like it's taking a recess. I think is that a recess? I guess it's like I think we're gonna come back the next day because Vigil, has fainted or something. I'm not sure. It's certainly a change in pace. I just ate a lot of food, so I don't know how prepped I am to be voice acting. Not that you expect much from me, but I think I expect too much from myself, and I often disappoint myself in every aspect of my life. I still can't you know what? I already felt I didn't swear. I didn't swear quite. I still can't quite believe what just happened.
I know. I inquired with the bailiff after the court session was adjourned. And it seems Mr. Vigil was taken to the hospital to recover.
Okay, so his shock was enough to knock him on his tush and send him to the hospital. It's a pretty bad shock. Right. Oh, a recap. Well, this is not quite the recap, but 10 years ago now, Mr. Vigil attempted to commit suicide by jumping out of the window of the prison governor's office. Right! Because he was gonna be... I think it was alluded that he wasn't responsible for the prison... I think there was like a breakout or something at the prison? And I think they were gonna accuse Vigil of being responsible for it. But it seemed like they made it that... It made it seem like he wasn't responsible and he's being framed, or it's like they're not investigating correctly. And then there was like a scene of, like a first person scene of him jumping out the window. Right. I forgot about that. Oh man. But ever since then, he's completely blocked the memory of those events from his mind. Nobody knew his secret. Not his family. Not even the man himself. But I forced it out into the open. Was it wrong of me to do that? Did I overstep the mark, I wonder? I mean, he's gonna have to face his past, right? You can overcome your trauma, but you can't forget it. Maybe you can forget it. I don't know. No! Oh, I'm assuming that's Iris. Yeah. Oh, Iris.
You were miles away. Anyway, I brewed a fresh pot of soothing tea for you.
Oh, thank you. We haven't seen Sholmes yet. Have we? During this day? We went separately to investigate the whole Gregson, I was about to call him Ferguson, Gregson thing. I don't remember if we've seen him since.
You and Susie have had an exhausting day so far, haven't you?
Maybe we saw him in court? I can't remember.
Oh! Thank you, Iris. How thoughtful of you.
Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is? When we came out of the courtroom back into the defendant's antechamber, he disappeared.
Oh, no, I don't know. He just suddenly sprang to his feet and left. All he said was, I must leave. I wonder if he's pursuing the mystery of Inspector Gregson's death.
Yeah, I think it looked like it hit him pretty hard. He was pretty upset about it.
Well, you know what Hurley's always saying, don't you? There are mysteries in this world that should perhaps never be solved.
Must not be referring to Gregson's death. It must be something else.
For the construction of a solution comes only at the expense of the destruction of something else.
What? What does that mean? Yeah, what is this? What is this in regards to?
He knows very well that when you open someone else's old wounds, you often open your own too.
Oh! He must have some, like, connections to the professor case or something that, like, I guess what happened during court has, like, sparked something in Sholmes that's making him act on something.
But he can't just take his own advice and live well alone. Solving mysteries is too important for him.
That's so true.
But that's what I like about Hurley after all.
I suppose that's the lot of a great detective in some ways.
So then, let's have tea. And then I'll give you a hand.
She's gonna come with us. Oh, do you have time, Iris?
Yes, I finished this month's manuscript at last. With barely a day to spare before the deadline.
Sorry?
Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. A brand new story to read in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. You know, I always hide Hurley's violin in the days before I have a deadline.
You do? Poor Mr. Sholmes. Where can you hide it? There's only so much places to hide.
I'm sure that's very wise, Iris. How sensible of you. Now then, my dear fellows, let's make a plan of action before we continue our investigation.
We're gonna be using some science during today's investigating stuff. I don't think I'm gonna click on everything. I'll just look to see if there's anything different that I need to make note of. And it already shows that I've already examined everything, so that's even better for me. I'm too thorough in games. So it always makes it seem like I need to examine everything in case, but like, sometimes you just don't want to like click on things that you've already clicked on, you know? What you got to say?
So, how did it go to court this morning?
Were you not there? Well, we still don't know the truth about what really happened, but one thing's increasingly clear. Lord Van Zieks definitely didn't do it.
Oh, goody! Yes, that's right. We managed to uncover several new facts as well.
What was the facts? He was accused of murdering Gregson because he was in the room where they found Gregson's body. But Gregson's body was being covered by a notice board. A wooden notice board that had somehow fallen down. It fell down because Vigil, or what's his other, the peddler's name, gossip version of Vigil, knocked over the notice board, had blood on his hand, touched the notice board, and then they went to call the police and blah blah blah. I think we were under the assumption that he had died somewhere else, and his body was placed there, presumably. And I'm still thinking that it was in the trunk, Jigoku's trunk, because trunk. But that's gonna be quite an interesting twist to like see how that unfurls, if that truly is how it happened.
Oh, really?
Oh, and also, sorry that I'm recapping this for myself because it's been like a week since I last played this, but for you guys it's also been a week since the last episode. But you know, whatever. I'm making a concerted effort to not take a long break, but I still need to recap for myself. What was I about to just say? Vigil, when he was working as a warden, or when he got fired from it, ended up working as a peddler on the streets to get money in order to sustain his lifestyle with his wife. His wife doesn't know that he became a peddler. Gregson found out and has been paying Vigil to like act as Gregson during some investigations here and there, presumably while Gregson's doing other secret stuff, so that he has an alibi for things. We don't know the details about that, but Gregson was doing a lot of shit. I swore. And there was another development too. Kazuma.
Yes, it's quite clear now that Kazuma-sama is not himself.
We know that he's a prosecutor. I forget if there was anything specific that he was acting, if there was any specific way he was acting during court that made them, but they're making them say this.
The way he's acting, it's almost as if he's possessed.
Because my gumption was that like he's trying to figure out the truth of his father's case and everything, and he's like really, he's going all out in order to find out. And like no matter how, like no, it doesn't matter who gets in his way, he wants to find out. So he's being very passionate about it. That was my understanding, but maybe that's not it. I know. I mean, at the end of the proceedings earlier, he was like a bloodhound the way he was chasing down Mr. Vigil's forgotten past. He's not normally so mercilessly persistent. Okay, that's what they're saying. Okay, yeah, the whole like, what is it? Being very, what's the word I'm thinking of? Desperate? Desperate. What's going on in his head, I wonder? I want to get answers from Vigil. I really need to sit down with Kazuma to try to understand what he's going through. Right. And I think at some point before the trial started, Kazuma had gone to somewhere? He had gone somewhere and then traveled back here. He was up to something, but we don't know what. If Gregson was really murdered the day before his body was discovered, then Lord Van Zieks has to be innocent, you see.
What? The day before? Well, that should be easy enough to work out, just by examining the corpse, surely. Yes, you would expect so, but curiously, no time of death was included in the autopsy report. That is curious.
There are still unanswered questions about Lord Van Zieks, though, aren't there?
Do you mean?
I mean, what was he doing there on Fresno Street that day in the first place? You'd think if he really wanted to be declared innocent that he would just give us a hint, but that's how it's always been with every Ace Attorney game. They always have secrets, right? I just wanted to like briefly comb through the court record to like stir up my memory. We had discovered that it was like firecrackers being hung on the candle to make it sound like a gun was shot during the time when Zieks was in there. And then he was trying to like be a part of the Red-Headed League or something. I wonder if this is like a red herring though. And then his identification book that Vigil had because he was pretending to be him during some points. Right, okay.
Well, according to the man's testimony, he said he was investigating Inspector Gregson, didn't he?
And it turns out that little room was actually the inspector's secret office.
Oh, that sounds like it has all the makings of a wonderfully devilish sport.
But then, why was that notice board in there covered in all of those particular papers? Papers about cases with a link to the Reaper. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about all this.
Oh dear, that sounds more like something horribly devilish. We must start by looking into Inspector Gregson's movements of late.
I think I also theorized that Gregson is involved in the whole, like, all the Reaper's cases where the defendants were, like, acquitted even though they were actually guilty or whatever, they were all dying. I felt like Gregson is involved in that, but then that makes him a bad guy, and I don't know if I want to accept that, but also, like, I don't know the man himself. So he could be, but I never imagined I might have to be investigating the inspector's movements.
Well, according to the entry in his diary, he was carrying out an incognito investigation of the Red-Headed League the day before his death. Oh! You mean he was doing the same as Hurley?
Well, Mr. Sholmes was trying to apply, whereas the inspector was supposed to be investigating. Right, Vigil was pretending to be Gregson and he went to the Red-Headed League thing, and then showed the two redheads, the Italian and French dudes, the ID, Gregson's ID, and then he was kidnapped, locked in a room for a day, and then let go. I forgot about that.
I do wish it had been the other way around.
Anyway, as it turns out, the inspector who went to investigate the redheaded leak that day wasn't actually Gregson at all. It was Mr. Vigil, in possession of Gregson's identification.
You know what that sounds like to me? Establishing an alibi. Oh my! Yes, you're absolutely right, Iris.
But why would Gregson need an alibi?
It would appear that the inspector had something to do that he wished to keep secret. I don't believe it. I always thought he was just a harmless lover of fish and chips.
But perhaps they were seasoned with something a little more potent than salt and vinegar. I haven't had fish and chips in a long time. Man, that stuff is good.
I think perhaps we should try to move away from food analogies.
Well, anyway, if Lord Van Zieks feels the need to investigate Gregson.
Yes, I agree. We must try to find out what he knows.
Yeah, we gotta talk to Cosmo, we gotta talk to the Reaper, and then we have to probably visit Vigil at the hospital at some point.
Vigil, you say? Isn't that the name of the lady who came to visit Hurley yesterday? That's right. To ask Mr. Sholmes if he would help her to find her missing husband.
Only Mr. Sholmes completely passed the buck to us. Actually, didn't you say that Mr. Vigil had been taken to the hospital? Do you know which one?
Ah, it's St. Signers. Sinners? Signers. Sinner? Whatever.
I'm starting to wonder if all the other hospitals in London have closed down. Maybe the St. Sinners is like the biggest one.
But that's amazing, Bruno. You found the lady's husband already.
Well, I suppose I have. By accident.
And 10 years ago, while Mr. Vigil was the chief warder of the prison, he was responsible for overseeing the professor's incarceration. No!
So when the convict escaped, he was held responsible and immediately dismissed.
Sometimes I really don't want to grow up.
There's more. For 10 years after that, while he was ostensibly working as a peddler, he also had another secret job. He was paid by Gregson to be his stand-in, to impersonate the inspector.
To impersonate Gregsy? But why?
I wonder if he also, like, changed his appearance to look like Gregson. Because he was going around doing investigative stuff while Gregson was out doing his secret stuff. The bobbies around would notice that, right? Would notice that there's a man that's investigating that's not Gregson, I would imagine. Unless they're all in on it, but that can't be right. I have absolutely no idea.
Ugh, Jeannie was right. I'm starting to think all adults are up to no good now.
It's true.
Including you, Runo.
Wait. I haven't paid anyone to impersonate me. And we're not even adults. Aren't we? We're like barely adults, I guess.
That means he has ties to the professor and to Inspector Gregson, though. So I do think we ought to pay a visit to Mr. Vigil, don't you?
Back to St. Signers then. Sinners? God. Signer. I'm gonna say Signers. I'm gonna stick to Signers.
Well, I think it's clear what we need to do, isn't it? Let us investigate, my dear fellows. Oh, Iris! You're even more enthusiastic than usual today. If anyone has anything to hide, my special Wilson shooting iron will soon to set them straight.
That water pistol?
It's stuff full of a piping hot extra special blend of mine.
It's hot in there?
Then I'm quite sure it'll be very effective.
Hey, better be careful not to hide anything. Well, it feels a little strange that Mr. Sholmes is nowhere to be seen. But still, let's go and see what we can find out.
Yes! Yes! Oh.
Okay, whatever. I don't know. I was expecting them to say it at the same time. We got it. So we got a little Iris tagging along with us now. Do I need to present anything to you? Probably not. Probably not. Okay, let's get out of here then. We're gonna go to... Where do we want to go first? Let's go to who do we have to talk to? Cosma, Zeeks, and Vigil. Where would I find Cosma? Is he at the justice office? Let's go down the list then. Chief Justice. Oh, he is here. Makes sense. There's something tickling my nose. No art. What? Oh my goodness. Okay, I forgot men voices are hard and I struggle. No arguments, Prosecutor Asogi. You will continue with the trial exactly as I instructed. Is that clear? Well, you're pressuring him to act in a way that he shouldn't be acting. Perfectly.
It's Cosmo-sama! Why are we shocked?
To find Lord Strongheart by the sound of it. He never did know when to back down. On your way now, Asogi. My lord. Hi. Cosma.
He ain't even gonna say a thing to us!
He left without saying a word. What a jerk. Yes. Yes. What are you doing here?
No!
Well, I was just hoping to ask you a few questions, if you wouldn't mind. I wanted Van Zeek's trial concluded today. It's not my fault. Someone fainted. That ain't me. Wake him up. You wake him up. But Prosecutor Asogi's unwelcome inquiries are going to make it take longer than necessary. Oh, so you're blaming him for it. Unwelcome inquiries. As a result, I'm losing even more precious time. Currently, 2 hours, 55 minutes, and 41 seconds. 42, 43.
Then we must resolve everything before 3 hours have passed, Mr. Naruhodo.
I don't think that's how it works. In a miraculous, not even 5 minutes. Anyway, I can't let the man's obvious bad mood put me off. I need information. What are we even gonna ask Strongheart? What is there to ask? I wouldn't talk to Cosmo. The Reaper. Does Prosecutor Asogi believe that Lord Van Zeeks is the Reaper? I wouldn't know. It was 10 years ago, in that fateful closed trial, that Lord Van Zeeks made a name for himself among the judiciary. But the next trial he fought, he lost. Well then, it meant the ringleader of a criminal organization was acquitted, thanks to all the jurors being under duress. But that's awful! The man's freedom was short-lived. He lasted just 3 days.
Yes, let me see. He died in a rock slide at his place of work, I believe.
Why do you know that? Correct. Why do you know that? That was the inauguration of the Reaper of the Bailey. And people believed Lord Van Zeeks was responsible. He was brought to trial himself, but it was shown to have been an accident. He must have had a solid alibi then. Nevertheless, the mysterious deaths continue. In total, 16 persons perished in unusual circumstances, ostensibly at the hand of the Reaper. That's a long run of coincidences.
Well, the Reaper's true identity may well be revealed by this trial.
And the impact that revelation would have on the British public cannot be understated. Is that why it's a closed trial? Precisely. Okay. This country hasn't seen a closed trial for 10 years. So the last one was the professor's? The trial of Genshin Asogi? Correct. Actually, we heard that originally. You were going to prosecute that trial yourself, Lord Strongheart. Van Zeeks entreated me to relinquish the prosecution to him, that he might avenge his brother's death. And here we are, 10 years later. With the son of the man Van Zeeks has condemned, now looking to avenge his father's death in the same way. They do say that what goes around comes around. I don't know, man. If my father was found guilty of committing several murders, well, even one murder, I wouldn't want to, like, try to, like, avenge his death by, like, going after the person who lost their, you know, like, it's like, you know, it's like his own fault. However, it would seem, unless you don't think that he did it, in which case, whatever, that the new young prosecutor is harboring some ulterior motives as well. Kazuma is? Yeah, duh. I'd like my organization to run smoothly, in the exact manner that I prescribe. Well, if you wanted that, you shouldn't have let some Japanese kids run your show, huh? As with the giant clock in here, I won't tolerate a single cog being out of step with the others. Ah, so that's what all of these gears are about in here. What runs them? Electricity? Dude, you must rack up your bills like crazy. Does electricity exist in this world? If the young man refuses to mesh with the other parts of my great machine, I will be forced to take steps. What do you mean? Not something with which you need to concern yourself. In any case, all your questions will be answered tomorrow. Strongheart is so sussy. He is such a sussy baka. Now, I shall have to ask you to excuse me. As of this moment, I've been delayed from attending my next meeting by precisely 3 hours.
Oh my, that is a long time.
Bro, if you got me waiting for you for 3 hours, I would be so upset. Then again, I waited for 3 hours for a doctor's appointment, but that was a walk-in, and also I was very tired that day. And I hold you entirely responsible. I didn't keep it for 3 hours, unless I did, in which case I am so sorry. Even though we miraculously managed to fit everything into not even 5 minutes. Okay. Whatever. What are you gonna do? Throw me out of the country? I wonder if you might agree to us, talking with Prosecutor Asogi. We need his permission for that? Discussions between the defense and prosecutions outside of the courtroom are generally frowned upon. I've talked to Van Zeeks a couple of times. However, I will make an exception in this case. Now go. You can find him in his office. My man's got an office? Oh, thank you. How did he get an office? He's only been a prosecutor for 1 day.
Let's go see him at once, Mr. Naruhodo.
Kazuma's my best friend in the world, but I'm really not at all sure I know how to talk to him at the moment. Just be like, dude, you're my best friend. You're acting like a doo-doo head. Come on, out with it. I'm here to help. You want us to go right now? Should I not go down in order? Oh, you can't even go to the hotel or the governor's office. But your father. But Jikoku. Want me to go here now? Oh, it's Van Zeek's office. Oh, right. Kazuma had like a little side area. I'll go to Kazuma. It said, go see him at once. Because I imagine that, like... Oh my god, I really missaw that. I thought we were looking at a person lying down on the floor. I was like, is that Kazuma? Oh my god, my heart. Boy, alright. Oh, there's a little setup of the scene! Wait, who set that up? So, this is the office of Prosecutor Asogi now, is it?
Kazuma-sama is doing so well for himself. Susato, what the
You stupid. I can't call her the B word. That's not nice to her. She is a... Well, I call her the other B word. Even though he's always forced to kneel on the floor Japanese style in that dark corner.
It's his habit to sit Seiza style wherever he's working.
That can't be good for your knees though in the long run, I feel like. Sitting on or your knees and also your shins. I've tried doing that before. I don't know if it's because I got thick calves and thighs, but like that's not comfortable to sit for long periods of time. Well, it looks like our journey here was wasted. The prosecutor appears to be out.
Dang it. Perhaps we should discuss things with another prosecutor we know first.
I was going. Susato, you tricked me. Let me just quickly look at things. What's this on the table? It looks like a small little teacup. A teapot. Let's see. What do we have here? Or it's a quill.
Mr. Naruhodo. It would be very underhand to glean information from Kazuma-sama's office while he's absent.
Hmm?
We should wait until he's here before we start nosing around.
Oh, of course, yes. She doesn't take any nonsense when it comes to Kazuma, does she?
I get it. Me too, we stand, but also, huh?
Clearly favoritism. All right, we'll go to Venti's.